Discarding Down with Stymie and Gums, an audiobook by Rich Baritone, read by Rich Baritone. Chapter 1, Part 2, Stymie. When my grandparents told me to bugger off, I moved into the Sanford Arms with my Aunt Esther and my Uncle Fred. I wasn't really fond of anyone else in my family because all they ever did was take from me, even putting gay porn site subscriptions in my name. I cried out to so many people, and yet I could never find the help I so desperately needed, especially from my family. After the gay porn incident, my family thought I was queer and disowned me. They made my life a living hell. When I walked into a room, they would throw fruit at me, blow kisses at me, and call me American. Then someone would put in a Village People CD, and my uncles would dance effeminately while laughing at me and calling me a salad-tossing fruitcake. So I just stayed away from my family as much as I could. It seemed like no one cared I was gone, because they didn't. When I was 16, I became friends with a group of Somalian pirates who liked to use machetes to gain free admission to titty bars and go marauding in the Gulf of Aden. I was very promiscuous and wild and did whatever I could to prove to my family I wasn't queer. To me, life was so unfair, so I rebelled against work, education, and soap. In doing so, it never dawned on me that I was also rebelling against my chances of ever being anything other than a malignant piece of shit. When I was 18, me and 3 of my friends stole a tandem bicycle and rode it into a small town where we were immediately arrested. The police were on the lookout for 4 black guys riding a bicycle built for 2. My buddy took the blame for the stolen bike, so thankfully I was released immediately. I ended up staying in the little town called Smegma Falls because I was too lazy to put in any effort to get home. I loved it there. All the women were sluts and they hadn't heard the Charles a twink rumors, at least not at that time. I hooked up with a tramp who I had my first child support warrant with. We had all types of problems. Imagine a person with some anger issues, severe anger issues, towards petting zoo animals and a compulsive liar together. Add in her faults, it was pure disaster. I was spastic and incoherent, with no impulse control. When I was 25, it was a very good year. At least by my standards. I assaulted a police officer, took a nightstick to the balls, and went directly to the penitentiary for 3 years. While I was locked up, I took an interest in not getting raped in the showers. So I made it my mission to never drop the soap. I figured the best way to avoid that was to not use the soap. I haven't touched a bar since. So far, it's the only thing in life I've ever been able to quit. That and toilet paper. After I was released from jail, I went back to Smegma Falls for a little while before I made my way back to Fumblenuts. I am poverty. For as long as I can remember, my family taught me to milk the government, charities, and society as a whole for everything I could. I was programmed from a very early age to not work and to take advantage of everything and everyone. That is why my life sucks taint. I am blameless. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I have 2 aunts and 2 uncles on my mother's side, and none of them get along with each other. This has nothing to do with anything I was talking about. I am dumb. My family took advantage of my grandfather. He once had plenty of money, but wound up a derelict eating out of trash cans. Maybe it's genetic. One day, my mother saw her father picking through the trash. She stopped, got off of her donkey, and asked him for a quarter so she could get a pack of Kool-Aid. My grandfather told my mother that not only was he broke, he hadn't eaten in 8 days. He in turn asked my mom if she had a piece of gum, as it was better than nothing. My mom rearranged Grandpa's scrotum with a steel-toed boot, got back on her mule, and rode away, making sure to fart in his general direction when she mounted Francis. My grandfather was then eaten by rats. His bones and the adjacent rat droppings sat on a steel table at the morgue for a week before they swept him into a bin. I didn't care at all.